Somewhere in Cornwall in the late 1980s, a teenager was doing something nobody else on Earth was doing. He was building his own synthesizers from scratch, teaching himself electronics from library books, recording music in a decommissioned bank vault, and creating sounds that didn't exist anywhere else in the world. His name was Richard David James. You know him as Aphex Twin. And this is the story they never quite managed to tell properly. Richard James was born in 1971 in Limerick, Ireland, but grew up in Cornwall, about as far from the music industry as it's possible to get in the UK. There were no clubs, no scene, no mentors. Just a quiet, intensely curious boy who became obsessed with sound at an age when most kids were obsessed with football. By his early teens, Richard was dismantling keyboards and rewiring them to produce sounds they were never designed to make. He wasn't vandalizing them, he was improving them, at least in his mind. His parents reportedly had mixed feelings about the kitchen table being permanently covered in circuit boards. What's remarkable about this period is that Richard wasn't trying to sound like anyone else. He had no blueprint. He was building something entirely from the inside out. Sound first, genre never. That philosophy would define everything that came after. In 1991, Richard James released his first record, Analog Bubble Bath, on a tiny independent label. He was 19 years old. The record found its way into the hands of DJs across the UK acid house scene almost entirely by word of mouth. Nobody knew who made it. Nobody knew what to call it. What followed over the next 2 years was one of the most extraordinary creative explosions in electronic music history. Release after release after release, each one completely different from the last. Ambient works that felt like musical landscapes. Hardcore tracks that sounded like machines having nightmares. Drone pieces that stretched time itself. The music press didn't know what to do with him. They invented genre names just to try and describe what he was making. Intelligent dance music. Brain dance. Terms that Richard himself found faintly ridiculous. He was just making what he heard in his head. The filing system was everybody else's problem. Part of what made Aphex Twin so compelling in the early 1990s was the complete absence of any conventional artist narrative. No interviews, no photo shoots, no carefully managed public image. Just music arriving fully formed from somewhere nobody could quite locate. The stories that did emerge were almost impossible to verify, and Richard seemed to enjoy it that way. He claimed to have lucid dreams and to transcribe the music he heard in them directly onto record. He claimed to own a tank. He claimed to have lived in a decommissioned bank in London. Some of these stories turned out to be true. The tank was absolutely true. This mythology wasn't manufactured. It was simply the natural result of a genuinely strange and private person making genuinely strange and extraordinary music. In an era when pop stars were carefully packaged products, Aphex Twin was something the music industry had no manual for. In 1992, Aphex Twin released Selected Ambient Works 8592. It remains one of the most important electronic albums ever recorded. The title alone was a statement. These were works made between the ages of 14 and 20. A teenager in Cornwall had been making this music, while the rest of the world had no idea electronic music could sound like this. The album is serene and unsettling in equal measure. Tracks that feel like memories of places you've never been. Melodies that sit just at the edge of recognition. It sounds like nothing before it, and everything that came after it borrowed from it, whether consciously or not. Critics who had spent years covering electronic music simply ran out of reference points. The NME called it a landmark. The Guardian called it essential. Neither description quite captured what it actually felt like to listen to it alone at night with headphones on. Some records you don't just hear, you inhabit them. In 1997, Aphex Twin did something nobody expected. He made a music video. Not just any music video, one of the most disturbing pieces of visual art ever attached to a pop release. Come to Daddy featured a pack of children with Richard James's face running through a council estate, terrorizing residents. A emaciated figure emerged from a television screen. It was directed by Chris Cunningham, and it was genuinely horrifying. MTV played it repeatedly. The mainstream had absolutely no framework for what it was watching, but it could not look away. Come to Daddy reached the top 20 in the UK charts. Aphex Twin, the reclusive synthesizer builder from Cornwall, had a top 20 hit. He seemed mildly baffled by the whole thing, which was exactly the right response. In the early 2000s, Richard James largely disappeared. Not dramatically, not with any announcement. He just gradually became less present. Fewer releases, fewer appearances, the music slowing to a trickle. The internet filled the silence with speculation. Then in 2014, something extraordinary happened. A SoundCloud account appeared with the username Aphex Twin. It uploaded over 200 previously unreleased tracks in a matter of days. No announcement, no press release. Just music, years and years of music, suddenly available to anyone who wanted it. The music world stopped. 200 tracks, just sitting there, free. It was the most Aphex Twin thing that had ever happened. That same year, he released Syro, his first official album in 13 years. He won a Grammy Award and was also nominated for a Mercury Prize Award. It is almost impossible to overstate the influence of Aphex Twin on modern music. Every producer who designs their own sounds rather than using presets owes something to Richard James. Every ambient artist who understands that silence is as important as sound. Every electronic musician who refused to be filed neatly into a genre and make the same record twice. He proved that the most radical thing a musician can do is simply follow their own internal logic completely, with no regard for the market, the press, the industry, or the moment. That the music that lasts is almost never the music that was designed to last. The untold story of Aphex Twin is really the story of what happens when pure creative instinct is left completely alone to do whatever it wants. No compromise, no formula, no plan, just sound. If you've never sat down and properly listened to selected ambient works, 8592, from start to finish, do it tonight. Headphones on, lights off. You won't regret it.